It's thinking about it. Hello, Giants. I want to welcome you. Let's see. Well, it's thinking about it. All right, let's try to hit go live.
Okay, it says live for me. It says live. It's been live for the last minute and 50 seconds.
Okay, well, for me, it's not saying live, but welcome. So I'm glad that we're live. Welcome to Healing with Shawnalee. And we'd like to welcome you to the Wake Up with Giants TV network. And if you have not been a part of the Tribe of Giants, invite you to go and join us in the Tribe of Giants. If you haven't read the book, The Giants and the Smalls, I recommend that you do. And it's teaching you how to reach your giant potential. And we're making the book a TV show. Well, actually, we're trying to get it to be a Pixar movie. And so just want to welcome you tonight. So I have Adam Mayer. He's with us, and he is the founder and CEO of Mayer Empowerment. And how are you, Adam?
Doing great, Shawnalee. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah. So I just wanted to welcome and just give a little introduction about you.
Okay.
So Adam, he trains conscious leaders how to unleash their superpowers. He's a trainer of ancient Hawai'ian Huna, thought to be the original spirit tradition of the peoples of the earth, dating back as 35,000 years ago. So it's actually a teaching that helps you get real results. And yeah, so not only does he have that, but he helps with the Higher Self Learning Club, where you can go. It's a 1-hour energy healing session hosted twice monthly. They incorporate the elements of guided meditation, hypnosis to help unlock and help your negative subconscious patterns and deepen your connection with your higher self. So in addition to being an empowerment coach, Adam also is a successful entrepreneur in the energy and technology industries. He is a co-founder of a multi-million-dollar Texas-based family-run oil company, Green Century Resources. He's also founder and CEO of Mere Intelligence, which is a software and technology company that has built its own industrial automation platform that allows customers to monitor oil tanks and control oil wells from anywhere in the world. Adam's breadth and depth also helps experience all the way from earth up to spirit and back again, and gives him a passion for helping his clients and students create their own heaven on earth. He'll teach you that true spirituality is not just about the spiritual plane, but it's also about integration and alignment across all four planes of existence, which is the physical, emotion, mental, and spiritual. It's all about manifesting the physical world while you want, while ascending rapidly towards spirit. And so, Adam, I'll let you talk about you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much. Ooh, Deborah Hesler is on. Hey, Deborah, good to see you there. So, so starting out really in the energy industry and technology industry, I came upon Huna through my own personal development adventure, which really just started just for me, and eventually learned, I can use these tools to help other people. And so I've developed Mayor Empowerment with a training series called WISE, which stands for Wisdom Inspired Self-Empowerment. And that's my 4-level Huna training. Is going to teach you the secrets of ancient Hawaiian Huna, which is basically the Kahunas practices across the whole gamut of spirituality. It includes things like psychic abilities, energy healing, different meditation and breathing practices to help bring more energy into your body, chanting. But essentially, what I love about Huna specifically is that it's incredibly practical. And so for me, as a business person, I really don't have time for a bunch of fluff. Like if it's not going to get me a physical result in the physical world, I really don't have time to fluff around with, meditations that may feel good in the moment, but don't really have lasting results. And so the whole Kahuna methodology and way of thinking is really very scientific and results oriented. So their whole mantra is essentially, if it works, then it's true. So their yardstick for evaluating what's truth when you're looking at different spiritual practices and belief systems is, does this map of reality get me physical results or not? Is it going to make me feel better? Is it going to make my thinking clear? Is it going to give me more energy? Is it going to help me manifest things in the physical world? Because if not, why am I doing it? What is the point? So if it just, I kind of feel good for a moment, and then 5 minutes later, when I'm out of the meditation, I'm out in the world dealing with real people and real situations, everything falls apart. What is the good of that? We want spirituality that helps us not just escape our lives. We want spirituality that actually enhances our life. And that's what Huna is all about in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that, because there is a lot of fluff out there. I think there's a lot of illusion, and there's a lot of fluff as well that can take you off of the path. It does feel good, and so once you get those endorphins, then you're like, oh well, let's consume, and could take you out into the ethers, but then you're still stuck right here. Like, this is the earth plane. Like, we're meant to be here. I caught myself being up in the ethers because it's comfortable, right? And we're meant to live here and to work here. So we kind of wanted to dive into that just a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great point, is we are living here on a physical plane on a 3D Earth. So if our whole point is just to escape, why did we even come in the first place? Is it just some sort of like a rat maze for us to just see how quickly we can escape? Now, a lot of people are talking about spiritual evolution. What's not talked about very much is that there's a complementary process called involution. So evolution is the process of evolving from matter towards spirit. But at the same time, we're also involving ourselves from spirit towards matter. So if you think of the creation of the universe, it's starting up as just pure potentiality, everything and nothing. And the Hawaiians call this Io, which is written I''O. So that's essentially what people might also call the ether. They might call it the Akasha. But essentially, it's unmanifest reality. So it's pure potentiality, but nothing has been manifest at that point. And it looks like we've lost Shauna. So I guess I'm on here on my own for now. So we'll keep going. But so we're starting out with just pure potentiality. But then we want to actually manifest something. We want to actually come down to earth and actually create physical bodies for ourselves and actually experience living in a physical world through physical bodies. So this is the process of involution, which is bringing ourselves down from pure potentiality into manifest reality. So the thing is, a lot of people are trying to evolve back to spirit without having completed the loop all the way down into matter. So if you've only come down this far into matter and you're trying to, got to get back to the light. Well, you're missing the whole adventure. The whole adventure is coming down here to matter and actually experiencing the 3D world and actually mastering the 3D world. So looks like you're back, Shauna. Great.
I know. I don't know what happened, but
you dematerialized and rematerialized. Good job.
Yes, I materialized here on this physical plane. Usually that happens when you have important things to say. I've found that quite often is that when things are important, that's usually like when the internet, you can have some technology issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just when there's a lot of energy moving, I find that also. So sometimes when I'm doing, group energy healing sessions online using Huna, sometimes the internet will spaz out. So good. Just
pull my energy back in.
Bring it all the way down to the physical.
Yes, back down to the physical.
Yeah.
So I love how you kind of dived deep into that and how it's important to be here, and we can get lost on the path and journey. And so you help also people to ground here on the physical earth. So I'll let you talk about that a little bit, as well as why that is so important and why discernment is having important, and how you help people with that.
For sure. So I want to start with a sort of meme going around, this whole idea of ascending to 5D and sort of the new Earth, and the new Earth is moving from the 3D to the 5D. So what is that all about? Well, if you look at, first of all, what is 5D? There are 5 dimensions. 3 of those dimensions are the 3D. So 3/5 of 5D is 3D. So if you're missing out on those first 3D, you're missing over half the point of 5D. You need the 3D as a solid foundation to ascend to the 5D. We're here to master the physical, so we can then build upon that. We can bring heaven down to earth and build it down here. So a lot of times when people are talking about this moving into 5D, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to escape the 3D. What they're feeling is that life on earth is hard. It's very dense. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. There's lots of these heavy negative emotions, challenging situations. And so in some situations, it may seem, more pleasant or easier to just go back up to spirit, because back in spirit, everything's love and light and very not dense. It's very light. So it could be used as a sort of escapism. But really, what can happen is if people are trying to do all the ascension to 5D without the proper grounding, it can actually lead to, in the worst cases, insanity. But at the very least, it can lead to people getting lost in outer space. And their physical lives could be falling apart around them, where they're not able to pay the rent. They're not able to, keep up with their car, or, basic things on the physical plane, because they're so focused on ascend. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be an either or thing. We can ascend to spirit while we're bringing spirit down to earth. And in fact, the way the Hawaiians do it is they spend a lot of time working with what they call the aumakua, which is essentially the higher self. Now, in working with your higher self, you're really learning how to embody your higher self. You're learning about how to bring your higher self down inside your body so it sees out through your eyes. This is a process of involution through which it's going to speed your evolution. So the more of your higher self you're able to bring down into your body, the faster you will evolve. But to bring down that much spirit into your body, you need to be really well grounded. You need to have like a serious anchor into the earth so that you can then pull down on spirit without flipping yourself out into outer space. So the grounding is coming from focusing on the results. It's focusing on, I did a certain spiritual process. What was the result? I did a manifestation process. What was the result? I did a meditation. What was the result? Did I feel better? Did I have more energy? Did I have more clarity? Did I manifest more of the things I want and less of the things that I don't want? Did I grow? So that was the Hawaiian Kahuna philosophy, is really just to focus on the results you're getting back. And that's what's going to keep you really grounded as you're doing all your spiritual work.
Ooh, I love that. I think that's so important to be able to have that anchor here on earth. We talked a little bit about that not too long ago, about really, having that anchor and really putting those physical processes into practice. Because we can escape. We can definitely get lost in.
Uh-oh, Shauna got lost again. She got lost in the ether again. Come back, Shauna. Come back. So the grounding, by really tuning into the results you're getting and also to your own physical experience. So, for example, if you're doing a lot of reading, there you are again. So I was just saying, in addition to the results, another thing to tune into is just your own physical experience and embodiment of spiritual principles. Meaning, if you read about some spiritual phenomenon in a book or you see a video about it, the key is to actually get a physical experience of it for yourself. Like, for example, if somebody's talking about higher self this, higher self that, okay, that's great. So there's an idea of a higher self. How do you know that a higher self is actually a thing? Well, once you've had the experience of invoking your higher self and your whole body goes on fire with intense tingling, almost as if like your arm fell asleep and woke back up, like that kind of tingling, but without the discomfort, just the tingly part. And that consistently happens to you over and over and over and over again when you're doing a certain higher self invocation, bringing the higher self into your body. Now you have some physical evidence that there is a spiritual process happening. And the same is true, say, if you want to work with the 5 elements. If you start working with the fire element and your body gets really hot, you work with the water element, it gets cold. You work with the air element, you feel light. You work with the earth element, you feel heavy. This is physical evidence. That's what I call embodiment. It's actually embodying the spiritual principle through your physical experience. And this is going to help you stay really grounded because you're basing your spiritual knowledge and belief system based on things that you've actually experienced for yourself. You didn't just read about it in a book. You didn't just hear about it from Joe. You didn't hear about it through a YouTube video. You actually lived it. And when you actually lived it, it becomes a part of you. And that's the kind of grounding that's going to make you much more impervious to the fluff out there. It's going to thanks for the support, Ryan. I'll keep going. So so it's when you have this kind of physical experience for yourself, that's what gives you the grounding to weed out what's real and what's fluff. Because when I did this process, my whole body lit up with tingling. I felt very light. I felt very hot, whatever it was. And I got a lot of clarity. I had downloads that came through afterwards. I had intense inspirations. I had visions that came through that gave me new ideas about what to do with my business, what to do with my personal life, that in turn made my life better. Also, as I'm having these visions or messages coming through from my higher self, which could take the form of visions, or they could take the form of just textual information, just words coming through or sounds. And when I follow these intuitions, I notice that things in my life unfold magically. And it's almost like these stepping stones are being placed out in front of me in midair, magically guiding me out into the unknown to a better future. That's the kind of physical evidence that lets you know that a spiritual process is actually working for you. And it's not just some nice, feel-good, fuzzy idea, but it actually is getting you practical results.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you also explained on how it feels in your body. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's up with my internet. So thank you for continuing to go and to continuing to talk as this little technical technical issues are going on.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. So Hugh was saying, when the event situation does not have a negative or positive feeling, it just shows itself as energy. Yeah, that's a really great yardstick of your own spiritual evolution, is that situations that used to bother you or could have been like intensely positive or intensely negative, your life starts to become much more back to center, back to a neutral place. And it's from this neutral centered place that problem situations are no longer going to stick to you. If you think of something like a magnet needs two poles in order to function.
Yeah.
A magnet with one pole is not a magnet anymore. Now it can just glide through without sticking to anything. But if you try to go through life with this big honking magnet, you're going to have all kinds of things just just sticking to you, of situations, of annoying people, of all kinds of problems that are sticking to you because you're highly polarized. And so what I think he was alluding to is talking about when you're coming really back to that place of center, where you're no longer magnetized, you're no longer polarized, where you can just sort of gracefully glide through life, as if you're kind of almost like a Teflon person. You can just kind of easily glide through situations without sticking to things. So this is another key outcome that you could see as tangible physical evidence that your spiritual processes are working, is that your life is unfolding in a more and more graceful way. Because grace is not something that just happens randomly. Grace is something that can be cultivated. Grace is really like a skill. It's really a skill of learning how to connect with your higher self, with the aumakua, at will, whenever you want. Because inspiration doesn't just have to hit you randomly. Inspiration is happening when you're connecting with the higher self, and it's sending you energy and information. This is a process that you can initiate whenever you want, like throughout the day, multiple times a day. So for myself, for example, I'll often work for about an hour and a half and then take 10-15 minute break. And in that break, I'll do some meditation. I'll connect with higher self. I'll get new learning, new inspirations. I'll process what just happened in the last hour and a half and receive that guidance from the higher self about, okay, what are the next key steps to take that are going to get me the best results. So this is where spirituality becomes not just something I do as like a weekend warrior, doing 2-hour meditations. It's like some of the most effective spirituality is something that's happening like throughout the day, like peppered in real life. That's getting you consistent results throughout the day. That's actually growing and evolving you throughout your entire day. It's like your whole day becomes an opportunity for ascension, for growth.
I love that. I love that you connect with your higher self throughout the entire day. I think that's like something that the spiritual world, that doesn't quite teach you essentially how to get there. Some of it alludes to it, but I think you could kind of get lost in the misinformation that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, because it's very easy to be a charlatan in the spiritual world, because a lot of people don't have that grounding, that they're not able to discern what is real and what is not. But it's again, spirituality is not just something that gets you to feel good. There's a real reality out there. There's a real energetic reality, just as real as a table or as this computer or as your phone, something just as real as that, but just more subtle. So spirituality is just dealing with forces that are more subtle than the physical forces that we see around us, but they're equally real. Yeah. And so when you do a certain process, you will get a certain result if it's a process that's worth its salt. And if it's not worth its salt, then you will not get a result.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And that it's tangible and it's something that you can look forward to and be able to see if it's something that works or if it's something that doesn't work. And then you are able to tell, and be able to feel. It's listening to like that gut feeling of knowing what is right and what is not right, and what's for you and what is not meant for you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And then, so Ryan's asking, first Hugh says, living in gratitude instead of seeking gratitude. Ooh, I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like if you're seeking gratitude, it's almost like gratitude is something outside of you instead of something that emerges from you. So it's like, that's really speaking to that whole paradigm of shifting from seeing life from the outside in and instead from the inside out. As long as you're locked in the paradigm of like, I need to go out there and get something so I can feel better, that is suffering. That is the nature of suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering will continually result as long as you think that there's something out there that will make me feel better. As soon as you switch to it's coming from within me, everything I need, and it's being projected out there, then it doesn't really matter what the hell is happening out there. You can just be sitting there just feeling fantastic, just for no particular reason. So, and Ryan says, how long does it take to learn Huna? So I've got 4 levels in my training. They're 3 days each. So essentially in 12 days, you can get through the whole program. And so each level is going to give you, says Hugh, every level is going to get you about a day and a half of the training part for your conscious mind to understand the knowledge piece. You're going to get about a half a day of energy healing because, and then the 3rd day will be initiation into the Huna symbols, which will make you an energy healer yourself and will initiate you with different psychic abilities. So the energy clearing before the initiation is really important because when you receive the initiation, it's essentially like a quantum leap in the energy level that you're channeling through your body. And when energy bumps up against things in your unconscious, it can project certain situations out into your reality. So it can bump up into your own karmic patterns, your own hurts from the past, problem situations from the past, and cause you to replay those situations in your life until you get it, until you get what is it I need to learn from the situation so I can finally move past this karma. And so being initiated into Huna can actually magnify that whole process. But it magnifies not only the problems, but it magnifies the things that you want to manifest. And the more that you then use the Huna tools to move past the problems, you're going to receive even more of the things that you want to manifest. So that's why we do intensive energy clearing before we do the initiations, because imagine you have like a pipe or a hose, and like a garden hose, but the hose is full of rocks and mud and crud. And you try to pressure up the hose, you turn on the water, and you turn on to high pressure. What's going to happen is if the water can't make it through that clog, it may start to spring a hole in the hose. The hose could start to leak. The hose could explode. So this is what could happen if somebody just ramps up the energy in their body without doing the appropriate clearing. So we want to clear out the rocks and the mud and the sticks and the junk so that the water can flow easily through the entire system. And so that's where we're doing the clearing before the initiations. So yeah, there's Deborah. Deborah's done it. She just did it last month and had an amazing time. And Ryan said, that's cool. Great. Yeah, it's super, super condensed in the format that I teach it, because my whole, my mindset is that people are really busy, and I want to just give you, what do you really need to know? I don't want to teach you any of the fluff. There's lots of things I could possibly teach you. I'm going to teach you like the greatest hits of the greatest hits that are just going to quantum leap you through 4 levels of Huna that are going to be beyond pretty much anything that you've most likely learned through other modalities in terms of the rapidity of change that you can go through and healing and growth in a very, very short period of time. Things that people may normally, in the normal course of living, might take maybe years or a decade to get through a certain type of problem situation. Like maybe they keep attracting the same type of relationship that's like an abusive relationship, and they can't figure it out and it takes them years and years and years, or it takes them a decade until finally they're like, all right, I've had it. I'm out of this. I'm not going to do this anymore. And that would be someone who's just doing things, just through the art of living. Then maybe somebody learns something like hypnosis or some of these other similar modalities. Maybe they can cut that down to maybe a matter of hours that they can, or a day or a couple of days that they can make that change. With Huna, you can make those kind of changes really in a matter of minutes or seconds. And many of the changes that you're going to do with the Huna processes, you can be doing literally in the middle of the day. Some problem comes up in your face, some situation you don't like. You realize what's happening within me that's causing me to manifest the situation. You do the energy healing to make the change within yourself. And then in some cases, the situation will actually resolve itself immediately. Sometimes it could take a little bit longer, but sometimes the change can actually be immediate in what you see in the world. So Hugh said, is it similar to the sweat lodge that natives do? We don't do any sweat lodges in Huna. So, I mean, some of the results may be similar in terms of causing some of your deeply repressed patterns or shadows to come up into conscious awareness by being projected out into your physical world for you to deal with and confront and resolve. So they're both going to create a tremendous amount of healing and sort of self-realization, self-discovery, self-knowledge, but through just different mechanics. And Brian said, I'd never heard of Huna. I had never either before I was exposed to it. So it's interesting because the word Huna itself actually means secret. And it means secret not in the sense of like, haha, I have a secret I'm not going to tell you. It's secret in the sense that it's hidden in plain sight. It's the kind of secret of if you don't have the appropriate expansion of your abilities to perceive and knowledge, then it will essentially, it'll just escape your awareness. And that could be like, hi there.
Hey, I'm just hopping on because Shawnalee's having some connectivity issues. So
yeah,
hey, I'll pitch in and help.
Great. Well, good to meet you. I'm Adam.
Keep going, Adam. I'm Ryan. I'm part of
Ryan.
Wake Up with Giants TV. So
Cool.
Hi everyone.
All right, so you're hopping on.
I saw that. I was like, hey, I'm here anyway. So here we go.
Yeah, awesome. So it's hidden in plain sight in the same way that if you weren't like a particle physicist or a quantum physicist and someone starts talking to you about quantum physics, it may just kind of like go right by. The information might go right by because you haven't developed the neurology in your own nervous system to be able to decode that. And it's the same way with Huna. It's secret in that you may not be decoding it if you haven't had the appropriate initiation and teaching to be able to see it hidden in plain sight. Because Huna is really just the study of what gets results and what works on all four planes of existence: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So we had a couple other comments come through. There's Hugh's waving. Hi, Hugh.
Hi, Hugh. How did you get started? How did you get started in this? And I missed some of it because I was in and out and trying to catch the connectivity and things like that too. But Adam, tell me how you found this. Let's dive deep a little bit. I know in your bio, I was reading through your bio a little bit, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. You've done a few things.
Yeah, thank you.
Take me through kind of your journey. Like, how did you find all this stuff, and what brought you to this point? Sure.
So it started out really with my adventure into the oil business, which before out of college, I was in IT consulting up in Washington, D.C. And my dad and I decided to start an oil company down in Texas.
Just like one day you were like, hey, let's start an oil company.
Literally just standing around like the dining room table. We were just like, my dad was wondering what he should do next. He had been in the coal industry before. He got out of that. He wanted to get back into energy, but coal wasn't looking so great at that time. So really we were standing around the dinner table and he's like, man, these guys in the oil business, they make like, $2 million per employee in revenues. And I was like, well, why don't you do that? And so literally it was one of those, like, let's just do that. And so,
really?
So I was going to originally kind of wait for him to get things going. And I was still working my IT consulting job. And after about a year of waiting, he was still kind of getting things going. And I said, well, screw it. I'm going to go down there and help get things started. So we found our first oil project within about a year or so, found some land that looked promising to drill. We raised $10 million to go drill it. And we drilled 21 oil wells back to back. So I spent 6 months living out in a trailer home in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, West Texas, and just drilling oil wells, and spent several years spending a lot of time out in the field. But that time, several years of this got to be a bit much, and it was really grueling, like really long hours, 15-hour days, 100 miles of driving each way to and from the oil field. And it was really not what I wanted to be doing because, I'd gone to school for computers and business, and I didn't really see myself I was doing a lot of, hands-on work out in the oil field, working a pipe wrench and literally things like that, driving around a Polaris Ranger, checking on wells, fixing wells, things like that. And it really was getting me, I was getting kind of depressed, just just wondering, when is this going to end? Feeling kind of stuck there. We couldn't hire the help we needed at the time. We were having trouble finding good people. And so I was just kind of starting to feel a little bit hopeless. Like, how am I going to get out of this? And, it was really a conversation I had with my mom at one point. She was telling me about a family member who was constantly looking for that next thing to make them happy, like this next vacation, this next car, this next dog, and then I'll be happy, and then I'll be happy. And this person was, several decades older than I was at the time.
It's easy to get caught up in that too, though, right? Like, if only I have this, if only I have that, then I'll be happy.
For sure. And at that time, I was in my late 20s at the time, and I'm like, I can't do this for another several decades and be suffering like this. Like, I got to figure some shit out. So at that point, that's really when my whole personal development journey started in earnest. And I started listening to, positive audio programs and things like Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins, and then eventually one of Tony's trainings. And from there got into the field of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, which is really about using language and visualization techniques in specific ways to create very rapid change in people. Also, hypnosis was included with that. And through that, I got introduced to Huna. The same people were teaching also Huna. So I got initiated in Huna through them. And I was using it with coaching clients, and really felt compelled and moved to start teaching it and sharing it with other people. And I had some people that some friends of mine that were interested in learning about it. And so I said, well, you know what, I can initiate you and I can teach you. And so I ended up creating my first little weekend seminar from them, and brought in some other students and just started to grow it from there. So yeah, just been pretty organic, just starting from really my own journey and just realizing, oh, I guess I can help other people with this too.
That's incredible. Like, sitting around the dining room table talking about building an oil company, going to do that, and then finding like, this isn't satisfying. This isn't what I had hoped for. And then to run in, I mean, the odds of running into Huna probably were fairly low, like if doing what you were doing currently. But as you stepped forward and as you moved into like down the path, as you step forward and just kind of went with the motion,
there we go,
then the pathway presented itself.
For sure.
That's amazing. The trust and the I don't know, it's almost like the fate or destiny or serendipity, but it wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have started an oil company, driven a Ranger all over, checking wells and feeling unsatisfied.
For sure. And that's really how the higher self works, is it gives you the stepping stone. You step on the stepping stone, and then the next one appears, and then the next one appears, and the next one appears, and you keep going, and they keep appearing. And even how I was guided to like the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming, that in itself was guided, because I was going out to Austin just for a fun weekend, and I found an Airbnb that was really kind of out of the budget that I wanted, but it had this couple living there that were just like super, super polished. Like, their house was immaculate. Their bio was saying, we're serial entrepreneur, or we live the digital nomad lifestyle, and we travel the world, working from wherever we want, having these amazing adventures. And I was like, wow, these guys really have their shit together. Like, I want to figure out what are they doing? Like, how are they creating this success for themselves? And so I went to stay with them, started picking their brain. They're like, well, you got to go learn this NLP stuff. And so then I talked to this guy at the NLP company, who since become a good friend and mentor for me. And in our first conversation, we just hit it off, talking about all kinds of weird stuff like telepathy and like really all over the map, which I wasn't expecting at all from someone at this sort of business oriented training company. And so, yeah, like you said, it's almost like this kind of golden thread of like, and you just keep pulling on it, and it keeps coming and it keeps coming. And it's like, before I know it, here I end up at Huna from oil company. So
I have a, similar type of experiences stepping in on my journey, going down a pathway, and then finding, like, going through some issues and some struggles and some problems, some spiritual dilemmas, some different things like that, and actually running into Shawnalee through the Tribe of Giants, which, like, this didn't exist not that long ago, the Wake Up with Giants TV and the Tribe of Giants, it didn't exist. I didn't know Shawnalee, right? Nope, I accidentally just took her out of the show. There you are, Shawnalee. But I didn't know Shawnalee.
I don't know.
And I was having like these thoughts and these issues, and she reached out to me. She joined our tribe, reached out to me, and didn't even know exactly what I was going through, but just felt something. And then started into my healing journey and stuff that I thought before was a whole bunch of woo-woo. Like stuff that was like way out there. Right. And I'm still wrapping my mind around a lot of it and learning and growing and becoming more aware. But I do know in creation and just life, there are thin threads. There's some amazing things that can happen if you can trust and just step forward. And the people that'll come into your life. I mean, you couldn't have seen this, however many years ago when you were out driving around the Ranger checking on oil. You had no idea that this was going to take place.
No, I mean, I thought my next was really the technology piece, which I'm also a computer programmer. So I built my own industrial automation system to remotely check these wells. Cause I'm like, there were literally people going around with a clipboard checking on these wells. Like it's 1950. I was like, dude, it's like, it was like 20 teens at this point. And I'm like, we can do better than this. So I was thinking that's like the next step in my evolution is I'm going to work on the technology piece, which I've done that, some of that also, but for sure. Yeah. The Huna wasn't on the radar at all.
See, and I've never, before today, and thank goodness for this opportunity, even though we're having some connectivity with Shawnalee. I'm grateful for the connectivity issues because I hopped on, saw, heard the start of the show, and then Shawnalee was having some connectivity issues, but I get to learn about Huna and I get to meet Adam and participate in this amazing thing. And so this is happening exactly it's happening exactly how it's supposed to happen.
Sure.
It's freaking amazing.
And it's kind of interesting. That happens a lot with my Huna students is like something called them to Huna specifically. And they may not even been looking for it. I had one student who was really looking for the 0 point and just was really fixated on like anything related to the 0 point energy field. And then came across something with me where I was mentioning the 0 point energy field and how it relates to the EO or the everything and nothing. And then I did this, this chant for her in our first Zoom call. And she said it felt like she could remember the words of the chant. Like she already knew, like almost like her mouth was sort of moving along with me and chanting the chant. Like she remembered it from a past life or something like that. And then I had another student who came to my training after she basically just had a psychic download one day. And literally the word Huna just came through. And that was it. That was the whole download was just Huna. And she was like, what the heck is Huna? And so then she just starts researching and the more that she kind of pulls on that thread, then she gets led to me and sends me an email. And now she's been through all 4 levels of the training. So, and this has happened with a number of people who come through the training. Like there's some sort of remembrance of even some people will talk about like the Lemurian culture, which is another civilization supposed to have existed around the time of Atlantis, which would have been a lost continent in the Pacific underneath what is now Hawaii. So Hawaii could potentially be the last remnant of this Lemurian continent. And some people who are very psychically inclined will make some connection to Lemuria or start having downloads about Lemuria before coming to the training. So it's really interesting how people are just called to it when it's the right time for them.
I think no matter what, like whatever journey people are on, because everybody's at different levels. And this is nice here too, because there are those nudges of coincidence. And I don't necessarily believe in coincidence, but it's more of like just a little help along the way, that there is a divine or there is something greater than us. And so, there is that spiritual calling or that feeling. And so wherever you're at in your journey, those people that are watching the show and something's calling to you, you're meant for greatness. You're meant to do amazing things. we talk all the time. We tell people they're giants, right? This whole thing got started from Nicholas T. Smith writing a book called The Giants and the Smalls. It basically teaches people that they're giants already. It's just more of a self-discovery and a learning process while we're here in this body and in this meat suit that we're wearing, and that, you know, we get to travel down this journey and grow and have experience. And like I'm learning how to step into my giant potential, and I'm having feelings and that I've never felt before that I can't explain. And Shawnalee's been a big part of that journey for me. You're now a part of that journey for me, and there's so many others out there that I know that if this doesn't exactly resonate for you, that's okay. Wherever you're at, find what works, you know. And if this works, I think this is pretty dang cool. I want to explore some more of it, just because I think what it can do is it can help you to get into touch with something that's greater than you. And I'm blown away. I'm pretty excited. I've got some commitments and some things and some stuff that I put on the comments that once I get through some of these commitments, I'd love to talk to you more, Adam, and explore this, because I'm curious to learn and have an understanding. If anything else, it helps me understand other people too and their way of being. I can tell just from who you are, and you stepping up to the plate here as we've had technical issues, that man, you're a great man, that you're a good person,
Yeah.
and that I can feel the love and the concern that you have for other people, and you want them to experience maybe some sort of maybe the feelings that you've been able to experience as you've gone down your journey. Is that accurate?
For sure. I just have a tremendous love for people and just wanting to share this, and yeah, it wants to come out. You know, these Huna teachings have been, you know, secret. Actually, the word Huna itself was not the word that was used by the Hawaiians to describe it. It was actually popularized by a guy named Max Freedom Long, so a white dude in the 40s. And so
He wasn't Hawaiian at all.
No. So, but the teachings have been somewhat secret because the Kahunas had to hide them after, you know, the missionaries came, and eventually actually the practice of Huna or sorcery was actually made illegal in Hawaii. I mean, in Hawaii, literally, despite the First Amendment in the United States. It's pretty amazing. Until the 1970s, it was illegal to practice Huna or practice sorcery, which is kind of interesting. Why do you make something illegal if you don't believe in it? But that's a whole other point. So
it's a great point, actually.
So the Kahunas basically went underground for a period of time, but the prophecies or the thinking is that these teachings will return. And my thought is that now is a damn good time for them to return when the world's going through turmoil. People could use a lot more of this in their lives to take that level of control and to invoke something larger than themselves to come through them, to bring that higher self, bring the divine within them down through them to create the heaven on earth. So we don't just escape the troubles that are happening on earth. We actually use the divine as a conduit. We use ourselves as a conduit for the divine to come down to earth and make the magic happen down here. And I think we're really on the cusp of that with all the transformation happening in the world right now. Chaotic as it may seem, it's a catalytic type of environment for that kind of positive change.
I agree. I vote yes. And tell me what you're doing like currently. Where can we find you? What can we do to support? How can I know that you've got the website here, but if somebody wanted to have a conversation with you and learn some more about this, and which I think we need to have you back on. And we've got other shows too, so I'd love to have you on Wake Up with Giants TV and explore your journey more, because like that's a pretty crazy cool story to start, like an oil well, you know, an oil company and multiple wells actually, and then now you're doing this. It's pretty freaking rad, to tell you the truth. And I'd love to dive into like the depths of that, and then also your philosophies even more, where we can explore it and create. And I think that there's some things that, even though we had a lot of technical issues today, that we'd like to dive down some more points. And Shawnalee, you can interrupt me at any point in time. You might have some more, but tell us what you're up to, what's happening next for Adam. Where can we find you? All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I am still doing the oil business. So it's not like I quit that. It's just that now my role is more in the office and doing things from a higher level than down on the ground. So which is awesome. So we're actually raising another $7 million right now to drill our first horizontal well. So we got that going on. But my next training's coming up October 7th through 9th will be level 1 of WISE. So WISE again is wisdom inspired self-empowerment. We're going to have all 4 levels back to back with a couple days off in there. But basically you get started on October 7th in Miami, Florida. So these are all in-person trainings. That's really where you're going to get the most immersive experiences, coming down to Miami and doing it in person. So yeah, starting Miami or October 7th, 4 levels of training, 3 days each. So basically in about 2 weeks, you can go through the whole thing, or you can bite off whatever piece you're ready to bite off at the time. You can do 1 level, you can do 2, 3, 4, do whatever you're ready to do. That's why it's broken up that way. And yeah, and people can find me on Instagram at Mayor Empowerment. I've got a Telegram channel that's Mayor Empowerment. And then on Facebook, I'm also Mayor Empowerment. So any of those places you can find me.
That makes it easy.
Yeah. Any of those places you can find me, shoot me a DM and we'll go from there.
And what I'll do too, Adam, is like I said, I'd love to have you on some of our other shows and explore deeper and be able to have a space where we can talk more about and dive deeper into the philosophies and the wisdom that you hold in Huna, because I'm super curious now. Like I've been able to just scratch the surface, and now I'm like, wow, this is pretty dang amazing. And you know, for those of you that are watching, join Shawnalee anytime that she's on. She's amazing as well. She is one of the sweetest people that you will ever meet. Here she is. She's back. She got back right in time for me to tell everybody how amazing Shawnalee is. And even though the internet's not cooperating tonight, that's okay. Sometimes it goes that way. But she's been a trooper. Adam's been amazing. Like he was like old hat. He just takes over. He's like, whatever, I'll just keep talking. It was awesome. It was kind of one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. So, but if you can find Shawnalee as well, you can find her inside the Tribe of Giants, Wake Up with Giants TV, Healing with Shawnalee, Limitless Healing and Coaching, all those things. And you can find her. Where else are you, Shawnalee? Instagram.
Yep.
TikTok. Not yet. TikTok, we'll get there.
Thank you. I'm so sorry with my internet connection. I just moved, and apparently this isn't very stable. So I will be checking out something else.
And you know what? It was perfect. It worked out, like I said, exactly how it was meant to go. Yeah. Sometimes that stuff happens. People at home that are watching, they're gonna get something out of it. Go back, listen to the parts, and think about and explore your journey. Do the things that Adam would do in love, in light, in spirit, and join us again on Healing with Shawnalee. Adam, thank you so much. Is there one more piece of wisdom, anything else that you would tell Shawnalee's listeners tonight that is speaking to you?
Sure. So all you got to do if you want to connect with your higher self, just the very simplest process, just notice a ball of bright white light up above the top of your head and send up what the Hawaiians call an Akka Connection, which is just a little cord of light. So just imagine a little cord of light going from your crown chakra at the top of your head to that bright white light, and just connect up and just begin to download the energy and information from your higher self. You can also, it also helps if you look up with your eyes as you do that, and just notice how it feels. Notice if you get certain sensations in your body, if you get certain sounds, words, and oftentimes the downloads you get from your higher self could be highly abstract, like too abstract to put into words. So give it a little time. It will start to percolate down until it becomes clear visions, insights, inspirations. So that's just a super quick process you can do throughout the day, like literally in 5 seconds, connect up, download, and go on in an inspired way with whatever you're doing.
Which all of us in the hectic world that we live in could use more of that. And I'm sure as we do that, we'll get more and more in tune with what our higher self wants and needs, and we can then be that to the world. And thank you for being amazing, Shawnalee. Thanks for letting me pop on and hijack your show.
I love that. Thank you, brother.
We love you tons. Everyone out
Thanks
there.
for having me.
Yes, anytime, Adam. Go follow Adam, mayorempowerment.com. Anywhere that you can find Adam, do it. And we will catch you on the next episode. Shawnalee, do you have an amazing outro, or do you just wave goodbye? I think we're just gonna wave goodbye and tell everyone to go make it a giant day.
Yeah,
Love
thank
you both.
you. Love you.
Love you guys. Take care, guys.
Bye. Take care.